Welcome to B-TEK Scales. We are excited to show you what the new Skynet indicators can do. You'll notice they have a familiar navigation to the other DD series indicators with high speed and connectivity. In this module, you'll learn the capabilities, common applications, how to set up and use the DD series indicator. To aid in learning, we suggest having a DD1010 Skynet, load cell simulator, TM295 printer, and a DB25 printer cable. This indicator has been NTEP and Canadian approved for legal for trade use. The DD1010 Skynet enclosure is designed to be used in IP20 NEMA 1 indoor applications. The display is a 5.7-inch color touchscreen with the option to add a remote HDMI screen. This indicator has plenty of standard features with the ability to add options like input-output cards, 4 to 20 milliamp output, dual built-in serial ports, second scale inputs, and external communication devices for Ethernet IP, Profibus, and Modbus. By selecting multiple operating software applications, the indicator can be configured for several applications including general weighing, truck in and out transactions, multi-axle weighing, standard axle weighing, product batching, parts counting, and check weighing. The Skynet has an FTP server to transfer files and a VNC server for remote access when configuring on your computer. The DD1010 IC Skynet has the same features as the ABS Skynet, but comes in a stainless steel enclosure with desktop bracket. As an option, the wall mount bracket can be purchased. Due to the connectors being exposed, the sealing rating is IP20 NEMA 1 for indoor use. The DD1010i Skynet has the same features as the ABS and IC Skynet versions, but comes at a stainless steel IP68-69 NEMA PW12 enclosure with wall mount bracket. As an option, the desktop bracket can be purchased. It also includes a watertight USB connector. The Skynet is a welcome addition to the B-TEK family of DD indicators, as it adds speed and features to a familiar line of indicators. It is the same physical size as the original DD1010, with additional features and processing speed. It is the smallest of the DD line of indicators. With an upgrade to the power supply card, the Skynet can power up to 16 load cells on a single scale card. This is something none of the other DD indicators have been able to do. In addition to the differences compared to the original DD1010 on this slide, the Skynet comes standard with inputs and 2 optically isolated outputs. It also has additional options like an HDMI output to go to a monitor and a dual serial card. When comparing to our competitors, the Skynet is a level above the rest. This high-speed, high-connectivity indicator will hold up to advancing technologies for years to come. The Skynet is very versatile, offering advanced diagnostic functionality and easy data transfer at high speeds. It comes in digital and analog scale versions. It can be used in applications spanning from bench, floor, to truck scales and rail scales. Here are the software options available for the Skynet indicator. The standard software also has configurable interpreters, set points, custom transmits, card readers, traffic light control, and photo eyes to verify if trucks are on the scale. Keep in mind we can customize software to fit your customer's needs as well. Shown are the common peripheral devices that can be connected to the Skynet indicator. On the top left, a remote indicator can be connected for areas with dual workstations. In dual indicator applications, printers can be connected on both units, and truck I/O databases can be shared between the indicators. Scoreboards are usually connected to COM port 6 when using RS-232 for runs up to 50 feet, or COM port 7 when using RS-422 for longer runs up to 4,000 feet. If using a BT-470, you also have the option to communicate via Ethernet. The supported printer drivers are shown on the right-hand side. If using a TM220 printer, the generic printer will be selected. Here are a couple applications possible when adding option cards. Option cards can be installed at the same time. To begin setting up the indicator, wire the load cell simulator or scale into the DB9 male for analog scales, or DB15 female for digital scales. Make sure to install the sense line jumpers if a 4-wire load cell is being used on analog scales. Continue to install a printer cable into the top COM port number 4. Use a DB9 male and a DB25 male connector for the printer connection. You must use 3 wires for handshaking. Use pins 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and 5 to 7. Also, make sure to turn on switch 3 on the printer. Welcome to B-TEK Scales. In this video, I will show you the various sealing methods for the DD series indicators, along with how to remove a software seal. For the ABS version of the Skynet, there are 2 sets of sealing screws installed. The top set is to prevent access to the main board. The bottom set, between the RS-232 port and the 8-position terminal strip for the I/O, is where the sealing screw is for the calibration switch. The DD1010 IC is similar to the ABS version. The sealing screw next to the RS-232 port has the calibration switch behind it. To access it, remove the screw and then use the small tweaker or paperclip to press the button. The DD1010i uses the 2 front panel sealing screws to seal the main board. To access the calibration switch, remove the front cover. In the bottom middle of the main board, you will find the calibration switch facing down towards the bottom of the indicator. The DD1050 and 2050 indicators calibration switch is located on the main board. The guide shown is for the DD indicators. Take note of the password seals at the bottom right of the form. The user will always be the current year, and then the password will be off to the right. Let's step through in the DD indicator, unsealing with the software seal. Let's start by pressing and holding the B-TEK button until it turns red. When the password screen comes up, enter 2835 for the technician's password. We'll then go left to page 8 of 11, and then click Metro. Then Seal Management. You'll notice it's set up for USA for the law. The seal type is software. So, software seal at the bottom left is how we're going to unseal the indicator. You'll see current year as 2021. The user is going to be 2021. For security reasons, the password cannot be shown. Contact B-TEK for the current year's password, and it will let us know that the software seal is correctly removed. Once you click Cancel and go to Scale Configuration, you'll notice the background is white, showing that it's an unsealed scale. If you go to Event Logger, you'll see that we have metrological events once we click the checkbox. So if you have a county auditor looking for the software seal, this will record all of the events of when it was updated or calibrated or unsealed. If a printer's connected, you can click Print. We can also exit out to the way screen to see the same information. Start by clicking the yellow folder at the top right, Event Logger, and then click the checkbox. You can also click on Metrological Info, Seal Status, and if you're using a software seal, you'll have a seal counter. Right now we're currently at 1. Welcome to B-TEK Scales. In this video, I will demonstrate connecting a printer and scoreboard to a DD series indicator. Some things to note: connections to the printer will require at least a 3-wire configuration with a transmit and receive. Switch 3 will be turned on to perform X-on X-off handshaking. We recommend using RS-422 for communication to the scoreboard. If the scoreboard has a traffic light, you will need an additional 2 wires to control the light by connecting it to the outputs on the back of the Skynet indicator or an option card. To configure, press and hold the B-TEK button until it turns red. When the password screen comes up, we're going to type in the technician's password. Then we're going to scroll over to the printer and the traffic light configuration. If you do not have the traffic light on your scoreboard, you can skip this step. So first, tap on traffic light. We're then going to select the mode. The easiest is single, but you can do a double, which is 2 outputs, one for red, one for green. After you select single, you then select the output that's going to toggle the light on and off. So we're going to connect to output number 1. We can turn it on and off, whether it's going to be displayed on the screen. We'll turn it on. You can enable or disable whether you're going to allow it to be manually toggled. We'll also turn that on. And we're going to leave it as normally open. Click OK. And then we're going to continue scrolling over to the printer configuration. Alright, here's the ticket area. So to configure the primary printer, the bottom middle button that just says printer, tap on that. It defaults to VKP80. Tap on that, and then we're going to select TM295. We'll then select the mode, which is COM. It's already set to that. If it was a network printer, you could change it to TCP, client or server, but no need to change that. We then select the COM port that we're going out of. On the Skynet, we're going out of the top port, which is COM port number 4. Press enter. We then select the baud rate. So the default on the printer is 9600, 8 bits, and no parity. And click OK. If you need to edit the header and footer, you can do that at this point. And you can also edit templates if you need to go in and select different print templates and click on the pencil with paper, and then you can see the variables and the different text that's entered in here. Okay, so at this point we've configured our printer and we've configured the output for the scoreboard and the traffic light. We have not configured the serial output. So there's 2 different ways that we can configure the serial output. We can do this in the Blanchet backend, or we can do it in the B-TEK program. So I'll demonstrate the B-TEK program first. So tap on Transmits. We'll then add a transmit and name it. We'll name it Scoreboard. All right. Then we will turn on cyclic, which is a continuous output. Here's our transmission name. You can edit it here if you need. You then select the scale's weight data you're going to send. So we're going to send it from scale A. The port, we'll select this. Currently there's only a TCP port configured, so we're going to add a port. And we're going to use the second port, COM number 7, which is RS422, out of the Skynet. And then configure the baud rate, 9600, 8 none, and we're done. Then we're going to highlight COM number 7, click OK, and it will fill it into the port section. Then we're going to change the start character, which is going to be a start of text. The end character will be a carriage return line feed. And then the output format, continue to press this, and we'll change it to B-TEK. So now we're going to be continuously streaming the B-TEK string out of COM port 7 at 9600, 8 none, and 1. And click OK, and exit out. And now our printer is functional and our scoreboard is functional. I had also mentioned you can configure the serial string out of the Blanchet backend. So we'll change it from the B-TEK format to the Blanchet's portion of the software. So press and hold the B-TEK till it turns red. Type in the technician's password. We will then scroll over to delete our transmit that we just created. So we'll highlight scoreboard, click the minus sign, and yes, we want to delete it. Okay, so COM port 7 is no longer occupied by the software on the B-TEK software. Let's scroll back over to page 8 of 11. We'll then tap on Tools, then Transmissions, then Serial, and we'll add a transmission. Type in Scoreboard again. So select scale A, select our COM port 7, select our string, B-TEK, cyclic for a continuous output, decimal separator will change to point, then we'll click on COM configuration, we'll change it to 9600, 8, 1 stop bit, no parity, handshaking none, and protocol will be 422. Click Save. Everything's saved here. You don't need to change anything on the secondary page, so this is already set by default. Click Save again, and now we have a B-TEK string set up in the Blanchet portion of the software. And once we close out, it will start to continuously stream out of COM port 7. In this video, I will demonstrate configuring a DD indicator installed on a truck scale application. The DD series can have many different software versions installed. This video demonstrates setting up the B-TEK standard truck in and out program. Start by turning on the indicator. Allow the application to fully start until the way screen is displayed. The initial screen displaying touch within 5 seconds to configure is used to test hardware, calibrate the touchscreen display, and change the operating system language. Press and hold the B-TEK button until the logo turns red. Then enter the technician's password 2835. If the password's been changed, contact B-TEK's technical support to reset the password. Press the left arrow to scroll to the scale section. Then select Metro. Next, press the Scale Diagnostics to turn on the Scale Diagnostics and Scale Statistics. Flash disk extern is saving it internal to the CPU. You can also select a hard disk or a secondary hard disk that's plugged into the back of the USB ports. Press confirm and it'll exit. Next, click on the weight viewer configuration. Make sure that your gross symbol is showing G. B is used in Europe. Next, let's click on Scale Configuration. Click on Scale A. If there are no scales listed, click the Add button. It'll prompt you to set up an internal scale, which would be a scale card in the back of the indicator, a serial scale, which would be a transmission of the extended string via serial ports, or a network scale, which is a communication over an Ethernet network. Once inside of Scale A, if you had a code 08, you may need to synchronize your scale card if you're installing it for the first time. You would just click on Update Scale Serial Number to update and synchronize the card to the processor. Because our scale is working, we're going to start at the top left and work our way down. We'll start with features. Here we're going to leave the minimum weight set to 20. You do not want to set this value any lower than 2, or it will cause issues. Let's click on Scale Capacity. Click Clear. We'll then type in 120,000 pounds for our full scale capacity. Click Enter. Next we'll select our division size. You just click on the down arrow here, it'll give you a drop-down list, and then we drag the scroll bar down to 20, and then click on 20. You can do this with your finger using the touchpad, or if you have a USB mouse, it's even easier. Unit of measure will be the calibration unit of measure. It's defaulted to pound, but it can be changed. You'll see that it's not currently set up for a legal scale. We'll turn that on later after we're done calibrating. Next we'll go to specific. Currently I'm using an analog type scale. Refresh time and conversion speed should be left at 50 and 25. If you had a digital type scale, this is where you would set the number of load cells in the system. Tare operation, it's activated. You can deactivate it as needed. Multiple tares is defaulted to no, and tare lock is enabled, which would save your tare as the scale returns to 0. If we turn off tare lock, it will reset to gross every time the scale returns to 0. So we'll leave that turned on. Next, let's review our 0 settings. The recommended settings for 0 tracking is force 0 set to 3 divisions. 0 tracking usually is set to 1 or 2 divisions, depending on your graduation size. For a 50-pound graduation, 1 grad is recommended. For a 20-pound graduation, 2 graduations is recommended. Initial 0 settings is going to be whenever the indicator is powered up. Sampled 0 will be like a calibrated 0. Auto 0 will zero anything off that's currently on the scale, and memorized 0 will come up on the last push button 0. Memorized 0 plus auto 0 will come up on the last push button 0 and correct for any auto 0 corrections within the auto 0 range. The automatic 0 function, when turned on, will zero off any negative weight value after remaining stable for 5 seconds. Normally this is left off, and the 0 tracking function takes care of tracking 0. Next will be stability. Stability divisions come in settings of 0, 1, 2, or 4, 2 being the maximum for a legal for trade application. Digital filtering will stabilize your weight value. The higher the number, the more averaging that is taking place. The lower the number, the faster the update rate will be. You can set anywhere from no filtering up to 128 for standard settings. You can also do advanced filtering as applications require. Most applications will work just fine starting with 16. And if you have a windy scale or a windy environment on a truck scale, you can step it up to 32 and 64. Keep in mind, the higher the setting, the more chances are of zeroing off a person walking onto the scale, because the update rate is so slow that it sees it as just a zero shift. Secondary fields are your secondary unit of measure. First, start by selecting the unit of measure. TN will be short tons, ounces, pounds, metric tons, grams, and kilograms are the standard selections. Set the capacity, and then set your division size. In the field section, we can set up multi-range and multi-division capacities. First, start by selecting the range that you'd prefer. 2MD will be 2 multi-divisions and will not go back to the lower division size until the scale returns to 0. For 2 multi-extension, will automatically adjust back to the lower division size when it's below the set amount, or the set capacity. If you set it to 3 multi-division or 3 multi-extension, you will then have 3 ranges. Let's start with 2MD for a legal for trade application. So because our full scale capacity is 120,000, let's set it up for 100,000 pounds. So this will switch over to 20-pound increments once the scale reaches 100,000 pounds, and then weigh in 20-pound increments to full scale capacity. So the delay return to range W1 means that it will take 20 conversions when it's back at 0 before it will switch back to 10-pound resolution. And manual range management allows us to manually adjust these settings. Calibration data will show us previously calibrated values. So at 0, the internal counts were at 68,348. Then it will show us our span value if we just did a 0 and a span. Or if you did a multi-point calibration, it will show your intermediate values along with your weights and their counts. If you have any additional questions, please contact B-TEK's technical support. Dial 330-754-3880. When the recording comes on, press 1 for software-related issues. Welcome to B-TEK Skills. In this video, we will demonstrate an eccentric load calibration. This will address the load cells and automatically set the coefficient values to dial in each of our sectional weights. When setting up a scale for the first time, you will want to see a code 09 before starting this process. If you see a code 01, troubleshoot the scale and try to find out which load cell is not connected properly. You can also perform this procedure after the scale has been set up. It will just re-correct the coefficient values for each of the cells. To start, press and hold the B-TEK button. It will turn red. Then we can enter the technician's password. We're going to scroll to the left to the scales page. Then we're going to press Metro. Next is scale configuration. The background is gray, meaning the scale is unsealed. If the background was red, we would need to unseal the scale first. Press Scale A to enter into the configurations. We'll then go to Calibration Procedures, and then Eccentric Load. First off, empty the scale and make sure all deck plates are installed. We'll then press the coefficient calculation button at the bottom left. We'll then tap Order by Side so that we can drive our cart down one side of the scale and then back up the other. The order will be 1, 3, 4, and 2. Dead load is highlighted, so with the scale empty, press the Calculate Coefficient. It'll then take readings. You'll notice the bar graphs are low, meaning our scale is stable. If we saw the bar graphs were very high, we would want to look into why there was so much vibration or motion on the scale. Next, cell number 1 is highlighted, so we will add load to load cell number 1. We'll then press Calculate Coefficients. After it's completed, load cell 3 will be highlighted. We'll pull our cart forward to cell 3 now. With the cart off and the scale stable, have the cart operator get off of the scale, then press Calculate Coefficients. When complete, cell number 4 is highlighted. Let's unload cell 3 and drive our cart to cell number 4. When the cart's in place, let's turn off the cart, have the scale operator get off of the test cart, and press Calculate Coefficients. Alright, number 4 is completed, number 2 is now highlighted. We will drive the test cart to cell number 2 right now. Okay, same procedure, test cart's turned off, operator gets off of the test cart, and we press Calculate Coefficients. Okay, after all cells are calibrated, it will say press key to calculate coefficients. So we press Calculate Coefficients. It then gives us the coefficient values off to the right. Normally you want your coefficient values to be within 0.005 of 1. So our range would be 0.995 on the low side, 1.005 for the high side. If your values are out of this range, you may have a mechanical issue or a failed load cell. You may need to check internal counts in the diagnostic section. If we're happy with our coefficients, let's press the Confirm button. It will then save the coefficients into the card and also into the cells. It's properly terminated, we press OK. And the next step will be to go to the zero and span calibration. Welcome to B-TEK Scales. This video is going to demonstrate calibrating an analog DD series indicator. This will be a zero and span calibration. Start by pressing and holding the B-TEK button till it turns red. Enter the technician's password. Then we're going to scroll left 4 pages to page 8 of 11. Tap on the Metro button, then Scale Configuration. With the background gray, this means that the scale is unsealed. If it was red, we would need to unseal the scale first. To calibrate Scale A, tap A. We're going to assume the scale's already been configured. So to calibrate, tap Calibration Procedures. For a 0 and a span, we'll tap 0 full scale. Empty the scale, then press Calibrate. After the 0 calibration is complete, we can then enter in our span value. Tap on the weight value, then press the CLS or clear button. We can then key in the span value, and then press enter. Add weight to the scale. We can then press calibrate after the scale is stable. After the span's completed, we can then view our points for 0, span, and the current actual points on the scale. Keep in mind the actual weight will not be from your current calibration. It will be from the last calibration. Press Confirm to save. Then we'll click OK. Welcome to B-TEK Scales. In this video, I will demonstrate a truck in and out transaction using a manual ID entry. First, have your truck pull onto the scale. This can be your lightweight or your heavyweight. When the scale is stable, press the Weigh Truck button. You'll then manually enter in the truck ID. Press the Enter. You'll get a confirmation screen. Press OK and the ticket will be printed. Notice the traffic light turned green. Your truck can then exit the scale. So after your truck loads or unloads, they return to the scale. This one's returning heavier with the full load. We'll then press the Weigh Truck button, re-enter the truck's ID, and then press Enter. You'll then see a confirmation screen with your truck ID, inbound weight, outbound weight, net weight in pounds, and net weight in tons. Press the OK button and the ticket will print. The light turns green. Your truck can then pull off of the scale. Your transaction's complete. Welcome to B-TEK Scales. In this video, I will show you how to perform a truck in and out transaction using the gallery mode. When using the gallery mode, first we have to add trucks to our database. Start by pressing the B-TEK button till it turns red. Enter the password 2050, then press Enter. We're going to go to page 15 of 15 I've already added trucks to my database, but if you did not, press the Add Truck button to add a new one. Or you can press the Edit Truck to edit existing trucks in the database. The different truck modes can be selected at the bottom. We have the gallery mode, which we're demonstrating, or there's Keyed, which is the manual truck entry mode. Now that our trucks are in the database, let's exit out. We can then have a truck pull onto the scale. This can be a lightweight or a heavyweight. If it was the lightweight and you needed to update the existing truck in the database, we would press Update Tare. For this one, let's weigh the truck, and we already have a tare weight entered for our B-TEK trucks. So you'll see a confirmation screen appears showing our truck ID, our inbound weight, our outbound weight, net weight in pounds, and net weight in tons. For this one, our stored tare weight was 30,000 pounds. So to print our outbound ticket, press OK. So if we have a brand new truck that's in our database, and we do not currently have a stored tare, we can click the Update Tare when the truck drives onto the scale for the first time. So tap Update Tare, then select the truck that you do not have a truck tare for, or that you want to update the tare. It shows the weight, and we click OK. The truck can then go off of the scale and load. And when he returns, we'll press the Weigh Truck button. Select the IV Trucking. It'll then give us our truck ID, inbound and outbound weights, and when we click OK, it will start to print. The truck can then exit the scale. So let's say that we want to weigh a truck that is not in our database. We can set up a miscellaneous truck ID. So the miscellaneous truck pulls onto the scale. We press Weigh Truck. Select our miscellaneous truck ID. It then gives us an inbound weight. We'll put a ticket into the printer. We'll then press OK. So the inbound ticket prints. The truck can then leave the scale, load or unload. When they return, we'll put our ticket back in, select Weigh Truck, select Miscellaneous Truck. It will calculate our inbound weight, outbound weight, and net weight in tons. You can also add cards to automate your process. Add customers. Add haulers to organize your trucks. and you can also add products. B-TEK also has the ability to customize anything special to your application. The DD series indicators have advanced internal diagnostic capabilities. When turned on, the diagnostic log will record scale card and load cell errors. It will also record any overload events with the amount of weight applied to the scale or individual load cell on a digital system. All load cell data can be easily viewed in the diagnostic section. The DD series indicators can be remotely diagnosed using Nexia live monitoring software. Using the scale card serial number and firmware revision, Nexia can pull data from the DD indicator over an internet connection at a set interval. The initial overview page can be drilled down to specific information from the scale. Nexia has recently been upgraded to make diagnosing scale issues even easier, and added new features to keep an eye on your scale's health and uptime. Thank you for your attention. Have a great day.